Hi, Bill here. I'd like to talk about a famous game between Akiba Rubinstein and Joe and Capablanca, played in San Sebastian, 1911. So there's a very interesting position in this game, which we'll get to. So it starts off as a Queen's Gambit. Okay, so white brings the knight out, so c5, c4 transposes into a Tarrasch variation of the Queen's Gambit. So black could end up getting an isolated queen pawn. So this is the standard way to meet it. Bishop e6 is a bit unusual. Modern players these days would play knight f6. Okay, so white just continues developing. White moves the bishop. White castles. Rook to the file that will become open. Pawns are exchanged. Now it starts getting interesting. So white makes a grab for the two bishops. Knight attacks the bishop. Bishop can't move away because the d5 pawn. Whoops. D5 pawn is hanging. Knight out. White gets the bishops. Bishop hits the pawn. Queen defends the pawn. Bishop pins the knight. Castles. Now this is where it gets interesting. Bishop takes knight, queen takes bishop. Now this is the critical position. So let's have a look. We can do what's called static analysis here. So let's see what's attacked and what's defended. So white's attacking this pawn twice. White's attacking this pawn once, it's defended, so this pawn's defended once. That's all that white is attacking. Black is attacking this pawn twice and indirectly with the rook as well, so 3 times, and it's defended twice. So this pawn is under attack. The queen attacks the knight, but the knight is defended. And that's about it. Another good thing to look out for is which pieces are undefended. So white has an undefended pawn. Black has an undefended bishop, undefended pawn, and white's got an undefended bishop over here. Okay, so another thing we can do is look at the line pieces, the rooks, bishops and queens, and see if there's anything on the lines. So this bishop's lined up with the king, so it's pinning this pawn. The rook and the queen are lined up down here. The queen's lined up down here. The rook's lined up down here, and so forth. Okay, so the big question is, can the knight take the pawn? Now, the beginner might think, knight takes pawn, pawn takes knight, and we've lost the knight, so we won't look any further. However, we've got 2 possibilities. One is we can win a rook down here, and the other one is white can take this pawn with check and pick off the loose bishop with the fork. So it's starting to look as though so we back up. It's starting to look like knight takes pawn could be promising, but we have to be careful. Black has a counter-attacking move, so it's not so clear. So knight takes pawn was in fact played, but black didn't take. He instead did the counter-attacking move of the queen, hitting the bishop. Now there's 2 pieces under attack. And white's problem is if he moves the bishop, say, back to safety, this rook will now pin the knight to the queen, and this knight could be in a spot of bother. White could try and unpin the knight and attack the loose bishop, but then black can defend the bishop with the rook and at the same time hit the queen, and again there's going to be two pieces under attack. So that doesn't seem to look too good for white. So another idea for white is for the knight to move and defend the bishop. Trouble is, black can take advantage of the knight, which is now tied down. If he attacks with the pawn, that fails because the knight, for a start, the knight can take the pawn, hitting the undefended bishop over here. Also, bishop takes pawn check. After g5, bishop takes pawn check is also good, forking the king and the rook. So g5 doesn't work. However, after knight f4, there's a simple move for black. He can just lop off the knight. Pawn takes rook, queen takes bishop. Not only has he won two minor pieces for a rook, which is quite good in the middle game, he's opened up the white king. So that knight f4 is no good. So we'll back up a few moves. In fact, Rubinstein found a move which Capablanca had overlooked. A clever little move. He defended the bishop with the king, which had the advantage of keeping the bishop on this diagonal, whereas pinning the pawn to the rook. And also, it means if this bishop ever took this pawn, it won't be with check. So what black did now was he pinned the knight to the queen, and again it looks like as though white's in a sticky position. But white had a clever move here, which he had worked out when he played knight takes d5 originally. He played queen to c1. The idea is hitting the loose bishop. He's counter-attacking, so he's unpinning and counter-attacking at the same time. He's also threatening the queen, so the idea is he's threatening queen takes queen, pawn takes queen, bishop takes pawn check. Now, if black were to take with a rook, which looks alright, because the rook now defends the bishop, then this fails because the queen defends it. But what white can do is swap off queens. Now there's nothing defending this pawn, so white's going to win the rook with a fork and be in front. So instead black took with the pawn, and after queen takes queen, white was 2 pawns up. Oh, sorry, only 1 pawn up, but it has went on to win fairly comfortably. So black counter-attacked, queen defended the pawn, attacked this pawn, black counter-attacked again. Okay, so white's forcing exchange of queens. Queens came off. Black activated his rook. White improved the position of his bishop. Black got ready to double rooks. White went to the open fire. Rooks were exchanged. Black hit the pawn. Rook hit the pawn, so pawns were exchanged. Knight came back. Check. Black moved his king towards the centre. White improved the position of his rook with a check. Bishop check. Bishop c4 helping to defend the 2 pawns. Rook to the 7th rank. So now white's winning another pawn. So he's 2 pawns up. Biffs the bishop. Bishop moves. And black's trying to get some counterplay with his queenside majority. White's now got 3 connected passed pawns. Passed pawns must be pushed. Gives a check. Gives another check. Hits the knight. Okay, so black does an interesting move here. He pushes a pawn hoping to counterplay with the a pawn. White exchanges. hoping for king takes bishop. And the rook can get behind the passed pawn. Black didn't do that. Instead he took the pawn. Bishop hit the rook. Rook check, and black resigned. Okay, so why is he resigning? Okay, so if the king were to go to, say, here or here, say he went there, the rook would go in behind the pawn, king takes bishop, rook takes pawn, and white is winning very easily. Or if the king went to, say, here, to keep the square defended, this is going to be an easy win for white, even if black gets a queen after bishop takes rook. Or what he could do instead is bishop c4. The idea is threatening if queen, the rook will swing across and skewer and win the queen. And if the rook moves, then white will just take this pawn. So it's an easy win. So the interesting part of the position was the position before white played knight takes d5. So thank you for watching.